Let's hear it for Babes, everybody. Babes! Let's bring out Spencer Crittenden, everybody, as Harmontown is now in session. Keep it going, babes. Keep rocking. Yeah. Let's bring out the mayor of Harmontown, Dan Harmon.
Thanks, Babes. Babes Band? Babes. Babes Band is your Twitter handle because you're not 70 years old, so Babes was taken when you started your Twitter account. Somebody probably got on the ground floor at Babes.
Are you starting the show as Ed 209 tonight?
Is it on? Oh.
You couldn't hear that?
No, I can't. Well, I can't. To me, my voice sounds normal unless I listen for it. Yeah.
All right, let's get started.
So it's unorthodox. Where Spencer normally dwells, we have Spencer. We have a band of 4 people.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And now Spencer is now sitting over here in kind of Kumail Nanjiani territory.
Yeah, I feel like I get where he was coming from now. Sitting on this side of the stage, I just feel like I'm together and we gotta, like talk to Dan over here.
Yeah. But it's great. I mean, he definitely rose to beyond Kumail or even Harmon status in New York. Like for those of you who heard the New York show, Spencer did a great job. We were Jeffless, and Spencer stood up, stepped up.
Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, and then we elected a Nazi. I don't know if that was going to come up tonight.
I was out of town. What happened?
It was a squeaker. I kept saying the media was going to make it seem like a squeaker. That makes the 23rd out of 23 political predictions I've been wrong about. Starting with, we'll never see a black president in my lifetime. Like I really said that before.
I was talked into believing that first that it was going to be really tight, but then towards the end, we were talked into the idea that it was in the bag for Hillary. And of course, I said a few times he was going to win it. He was going to win it. Not that I wanted him to, or I don't even like putting that out there. I do kind of believe in the words you say, like, can manifest themselves in some, like they can create things. I do believe that. I also really felt that it was a increasing possibility all the time, and. Like I was in London during the week and a half before the Brexit vote, and depending on who you talk to, most people are like, "Oh no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." And you talk to anybody that was working class, they're like, "It's happening," and it was going to happen.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure the election will be permeating tonight as a theme. I'm sure, including the analysis of the statistics and stuff. But what I am keen to talk about, because it's most scary, most promising, most exciting to me, is the cultural, not ramifications, but the cultural thing that's happening, of which I think this election is a symptom. Because it's a real thing that we have to deal with on our sidewalks and things, and in conversations with each other, the people with actual human hearts and brains that we touch and whose breath we can smell, and who are renting property to or from us, and who we buy and sell bread to. I haven't been into the market in a while, and I don't know how commerce works. I pay people to count my filthy money, but the human beings, our neighbors and things, and douchebags. We know that our friend Kumail had an incident at a bar. It was like is it these young douches that they got drunk and they were like, I guess it turns out later, there's like in the analysis afterward of this story, the bartender was filling them in and saying that they have alt-right meetings over at this certain bar that I guess I won't name because I'm not sure whether it's a good... I don't know what I'd be doing by naming the bar. But that they have alt-right meetings in the back room and that this is a bar close by and that guy one of those two guys had been there before and it's kind of it's not like Clockwork Orange where it's like, holy shit, the fabric of society is changing necessarily just because of that story. But in case you didn't see it, the story was that Kumail and Thomas Middleditch were hanging out at a bar, and two guys that had been drinking for a couple hours came up to them and said, like, hey, we're big fans, and I disagree with what you say on Twitter about Trump. And then they said, let's not talk about politics. And they said, what are you, a cuck, 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 cuck? And they started chanting the word cuck, which, if that's going to happen, I
didn't know that was an alt-right term for people that have been... What, cuckolded by politics? Like, what is the angle on that?
It's just more
it's just an attack on, I think, masculinity.
Oh no, that you're not a man.
You're just like a beta male.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's more of a beta male thing to really focus on the sex life of other people.
But again, I don't know if you've seen cuckold porn, but there's this guy, Marcello, who's a cuckold who is very alpha. He fucking he cuckolds himself so much that he owns the room. Like, I got no beef with a guy that's so low status he can suck another man's penis while that man fucks his wife. Like, I think that guy's pretty fucking intimidating. She goes like, lick my balls, slave, and he's like, and his eyes are just dead. And I'm like, this fucking guy, like, I'm following him into battle. Not somebody who's like, what'd you say? Yo! Like, this guy's cool under fire. He's licking balls. You're not supposed to want to do that if a guy's fucking your wife. That's the last thing.
Well, so he's topping from the bottom, though. Like, he likes it. Like, he's in charge.
He's eating the world from hell. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. He's amazing. He's my hero in that.
I just did a comedy show last night. We were down in... the gig was in Escondido, California, kind of down San Diego way, like south of Carlsbad. But we stayed in Rancho Santa Fe, which is quite rich and white. And I went to have breakfast... or lunch yesterday, and there was this woman that came in, and she was like very Orange County, like, you know, just picture a wealthy Orange County middle-aged woman who was pretending to be 19. And she was quite loud, and they were all talking about Chardonnay and varietals of grapes because they're all wine people, and it was fine. I was reading my book, so I was pissed off. But that's my fault for reading a book at a bar and expecting silence. And then she started talking.
I thought you hated yourself for reading, or I thought you were going. And here I am reading.
I like reading alone at a bar or at a restaurant, and I expect graveyard silence, which is self-destructive. That's stupid. But I do bring earplugs. But then I'm wearing earplugs in a bar, and everybody has a right to look at me and go, "This guy is a fucking piece of shit." And I can dig it. But it was totally silent for the first 45 minutes I was there. And then this woman came and was talking to two other people. And they were talking about grapes and wines. And then she's like, oh, yeah, my daughter just got married. And my son-in-law is so amazing. He's a Marine. And they have a dog. And the dog is named Mary, but it's short for America. And as I drove down there, when you pass the orange curtain, when you get down into good and proper Orange County, it's Trump stickers and Ford F-150s and all that jazz. But then they all started talking in hushed tones about politics, about the election. They were all Hillary people. They sounded like they were going to be Trumpies. But then I heard another guy, later on, football was on, and a guy sits down with this white guy with his white girlfriend or wife, and an interception happened. And he yelled, oh, God damn it, you fucking monkey. And I was the only one that heard it. And I just turned to him and went, whoa! And he goes, oh, well, why do you assume I was talking about an African American? I said,
whoa! Double whoa! That's a meta whoa! Whoa!
And I said, I'm watching the same TV you are, man. And he goes, you fucking jackasses. And then he mutters to his wife, this fucking jackass. What other words are they going to take away from us?
Yeah.
No, so then I said, I'm going to guess you voted for Trump. He goes, no, we voted for Hillary.
Exactly. So, thank you.
He felt activated, I feel that I'm not Kumail Nanjiani and I'm not brown, and I didn't get poked in my chest by some alt-right weirdos. I just feel like that was the first time I've ever heard like a bunch of somebody feel that comfortable to yell that out, and also strangely righteous indignation when I didn't go, "Hey, fuck you, racist!" I didn't say that. I went like, "Wow!"
Right, and he was like, "Fuck you, racist" in his head. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. And I'm very proud of myself. I lined up some guests that are not based on like, oh, this person represents this or that. In keeping with that, I invited random people that I came across.
They better be all white males.
They aren't, but I do want to say before we, because tonight is going to be, if I have anything to do with it, it's about moving forward into like, I don't care. If you're listening to this and you're offended by a straight white dude saying we need to erase the lines and solidarity is not getting us anywhere, I'm not telling you not to see lines, and I'm gonna express that where I'm at and how I'm going to move forward the best way I think I can help, and use my I statements. I am certainly not here to tell, especially the last person I want to tell not to see things in lines are the black women in our family tonight, because I feel like that was an astounding, almost comedically absurd story. If you looked at the statistics and you were looking at lines and how they broke down, that was a bummer. Like they lined up and they were like, yep, this, what you see is what you get. Voting for Hillary. She's not, she's a woman and I'm a woman and there's a million reasons and blah, 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 but I'm, and then they came home and it's like, let's get our lady president. What the fuck? You honky bitches.
42% of the women vote went for Trump. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't even know. It's like we've all seen the spreadsheets that have like befuddled us. But and then we search for meaning with our primate minds.
I trusted Jake Tapper. He lied.
I think the message from those spreadsheets, from this election, from everything, the thing that's going to keep me sane is going like, oh, thank God. It may be in a very twisted, horrible balloon animal way, but Martin Luther King finally just actually became, his dream is actually becoming a little bit true, because I cannot look at anybody anymore or think about anybody based on any group that they belong to and assume anything about them. I think that election, like, it's like you can now say that you have more in common with a person you haven't met yet than some of the people you've met. You can now say that you have more important things in common with people who have superficial things not in common with you. And I don't want to speak for the people that are shaped like me, but before that Tuesday, I was walking around thinking that like the idea that biology didn't matter, race, gender, to name a few bio lines, there's a million of them though, the things that just make us different, like in the goo that makes up our body. The idea that stuff didn't matter, I always looked at it like broccoli. Like really healthy, really hard to commit to, like not the first choice, like when I'm secretly thinking about what I'd rather do, like kind of difficult, worth it, will make everything better. Oh, so hard to do, and no one else is gonna do it anyway. And after Tuesday, like I swear it's not hyperbole, it was just like the one good thing for me was I was like, holy shit, no. The idea that you can't tell what people are thinking or feeling or where they're coming from by looking at them is not like broccoli, it's like air. It's impossible now to not be in that mindset. It's absolutely vital, and it's relatively empty, and we have to fill it with something meaningful. I know that was a dumb way to extend that metaphor. I should have stopped that. It just went from being like, oh, you should really do that, okay, I will, and walking around like that monkey guy who clearly was yelling at himself before you did. He had all this shit. You were yelling at him for being racist. That guy's already. We got this fucking World Wrestling Federation wrapped up in our brains because we're surrounded by it. Anyway, so like the big question becomes, how do we stop being surprised by shit? That was my therapist's advice. Stop expressing yourself with like, Dan, you keep going like this, and your voice keeps going up in the air because you keep going, there's a swastika up over the house in San Francisco! Can you believe what they do? And the white women, it's all in that context of, can you fucking believe it? can you believe it? And you hear that story about Kumail, and always the unspoken thing on Twitter is like when you retweet stuff, which you should do, the unspoken message of it is like, can you believe this? And that for the last 20 years has been enough. Like that has been our definition of the guillotine. It's been our definition of like just like transparency, of rule of law socially, because there are no laws against like having weird feelings about you ate 3 bananas, now you're a woman. You can have like these fucked up ideas that if a Supreme Court justice has them, bananas illegal, and we're like, whoa, hey, those thoughts aren't illegal. And so we have up until now had the luxury of going, can you believe this person feels this way? Now it seems clear to me that it's like, oh, you got to believe it. You gotta believe it. And coming with that is like, then if you're going like this, you're the sucker. Like, can you believe this guy's mugging me? Well, yeah, Steven Seagal can. That's why he's not getting mugged anymore. What a terrible example. You guys don't admire Steven Seagal. I'm 43. He was like he was badass. Like 6 months of 92, I think. I couldn't think of a name of a guy who's famous for not getting mugged.
I forget. Maybe I remember. I'm not sure if I know the exact order of the 5 stages of grief. But do you know which, Spencer or Dan? Do you know which one you're in right now?
Well, I'm
going to assume not acceptance yet.
Well, or you could say either this grief doesn't apply, or I'm all the way to acceptance because we need to do more than grieve. If our friend is getting harassed in a bar, we don't have to go grab our muskets. We don't have to go, because we don't know those guys represent the alt-right. We don't know what the alt-right is. We don't know. We have to straighten our backs, square our shoulders, take a deep breath in, go, this is happening. Like there are skinheads. There are angry people. There are people you can't, every person that is walking toward you, it has either dynamite or pudding, or pudding being a good thing, like the opposite of dynamite. But it's a bad thing to have in your head because you need to think. So again, my metaphors are failing, but I'm saying every person that you encounter is good, could be
explosive
a
or
god
delicious
or a monster, but very likely something incredibly sloppy and unpredictable in between that is going to require like very, very like in the moment negotiation, and also though before you enter that chaotic world, an agreement about how we behave. For instance, when I've seen some pictograms that were being posted that I thought were kind of cool. It's like, what do you do when you see a dude bullying a Muslim woman on a subway, and it like shows you in pictograms like what you should do. It turns out what you should do is walk up to the Muslim woman, start hanging out with her as if the guy doesn't exist and as if you've known her for 20 years. Hey, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. And it probably, it's better than going like, get your hands off her. I got sidetracked by that, but like,
are you saying we should all like if I saw someone doing that, I would absolutely go up there and intervene and step in at the risk of getting like punched, like.
Well,
but the thing is, like,
I don't know.
I
would piss my pants and cry, and so I want to talk to people who don't know how. It's like I feel like you're bragging.
I'm saying hypothetically because it's always been a hypothetical. Now I don't think it's going to keep being a hypothetical. I think it's going to be something that you're going to run into a lot now.